Assalamu alaikum, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are delighted to welcome you to the UAE Government Experience Exchange Talks, where we proudly share the knowledge, experiences, and best practices in the UAE and the world. Today, we will shed light on Etihad Credit Insurance best practices and its vital role in strengthening the global competitive edge of the local exporting firms. We will also showcase the best practices in promoting sustainable export credit, and increase the growth and expansion opportunities for Emirati companies in international markets. Allow me to welcome Her Excellency Raja Al-Mazrou'i, the CEO of Etihad Credit Insurance. She plays an instrumental role in actualizing ECI's vision and mission, driving the strategy to support UAE exporters, fortify national economic growth, and further position the UAE as a global trading powerhouse. Her Excellency has held executive positions in several distinguished organizations, including the Higher College of Technology, Dubai Holding, National Bonds Corporation, and Dubai International Financial Center. Her Excellency also played a vital role in advancing the UAE's national innovative agenda by establishing the FinTech Hive, one of the region's most successful FinTech hubs and ecosystem. Her proactive collaboration with diverse stakeholders has contributed to the UAE's thriving digital economy, fostering the growth of over 500 financial technology startups and earning the FinTech Hive recognition as one of the world's top financial innovation labs by Global Finance magazine. Your Excellency, we are all here excited to learn more from you. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Iman, for having me. Good afternoon or good morning to everyone who's joined me today. It is my pleasure to share with you a little bit about Etihad Credit Insurance, the national export credit company of the UAE, where we focus on accelerating exports from the UAE to the world. Trade is the lifeblood of the global economy, contributing more than $100 trillion to the overall economy by 2022. And 30% of this contribution comes from exports, which is more than $30 trillion in terms of GDP. UAE GDP grew 7.6% in the year 2022 and aims to double the size of its economy by 2031. Trade remains at the heart of this strategy, as the UAE goods and services traded in 2022 have exceeded $1.27 trillion, which is the first in the Middle East and Africa in goods and services trade. And the value of the exports from this foreign trade was $599 billion, which is the 11th global rank in export of goods with a growth rate of 41%. At the core of this international commerce lies a critically important entity, which is the ECA, the Export Credit Agency role, which is a government-backed institution that plays a pivotal role in facilitating and shaping the landscape of the global trade. What is the risk of global trade? There is a lot of risks associated with global trade, especially with international trade and investment transactions, because over 90% of world trade takes place on the basis of cash or on very short-term credit. The need for credit insurance comes with the risk of non-payment or delayed payments, and usually owing to the lack of credit standing from credit or trading partners, uncertainties in the importing country, and the long duration of trade credit due to the lengthy process of trade finance and moving the commodities from one country to other. The role that ECAs are playing, they serve as guardians, offering credit insurance and risk management services that shield exporters and financial institutions from the uncertainties of the global market. The role of global government ECAs in trade is highly visible in areas of facilitating export growth, risk mitigation for local businesses that aim to grow globally, enhance the competitiveness of their countries and of the home businesses, fostering economic stability, aids in job creation, contributes to economic resilience, and attracting foreign investments to the country. If we go back, we look at the first official export credit agency in the UK, Export Credit Guarantee Department program was established in 1919. And by the 1970, most member countries of the OECD had an ECA. And more recently, official ECAs have been set up in many developing countries as an important tool for export development. All official ECAs have the same goal and objective, which is to promote national exports. Etihad Credit Insurance is the UAE's country official export credit company. It's a national instrument that is uniquely positioned to assist accelerating UAE exports to the world. ECI was established back in 2018 in light of the UAE's vision to forge a resilient export community and in alignment to UAE Visionary 2031 agenda. ECI stands as a beacon of support for the national economic growth. With a commitment to strengthening the export and re-exports, ECI operates as a strategic partner for UAE businesses, offering them export credit solutions to counter risk, comprehensive market intelligence, and export strategy, enabling them to flourish not only in existing markets, but also to expand across diverse economies. If we take a step back and we look at ECI establishment back in 2018, the board was formed and the company has started exploring opportunities of establishing operation with 10 employees. By 2019, the company has opened officially its first office and started supporting SMEs, and the number of employees grew to 29. In 2020, the company was rated AA- by Fitch Rating, and the ECI signed its first reinsurance treaty. And if we look at the reinsurance treaty, it's really a panel of international, well-known reinsurance companies who share the risk of all of these transactions with ECI. These are global reinsurance companies who facilitate also the access of ECI to global markets. In 2020, the exposure of ECI reached 1.2 billion dirhams with 36 employees. Obviously, the pandemic has affected the growth journey of ECI because global trade has suffered from the pandemic and the limitation in connectivity. However, we are looking at leveraging the opportunity that was brought by technology to track forward our objectives. In 2021, ECI started to deepen its international alliances by becoming a member of the Bern Union and achieved a diversified sector economy supporting 17 sectors and excluding oil and gas. The mandate of ECI to support non-oil exports from the UAE to the world. And the largest PRI transaction in the region was signed at that time of a value of 1.3 billion dirhams, and the exposure of ECI grew to 3.8 billions, and the company managed to handle 135 millions of debt, which is a 63% success rate for the company with the assistance and support of 47 employees. In 2022, a new board was formed and was chaired by the Ministry of Economy because the government realized the important role that ECI is playing in supporting and growing the economy of the UAE by facilitating the trade transactions. The company in 2022 supported the first wind farm project in Uzbekistan, which is handled by a UAE-based company and focused on alternative energy sources outside the UAE. The ECI reinsurance treaty enhancement with automatic limit reaching 180 billion dirhams, and we were able to reach 105 countries in terms of exposure and coverage. The insured turnover of ECI in 2022 reached 14 billion. The exposure continues to grow to 8.16 billion, and the value of debts handled reached 312 million, with 84% success rate on debt collection. In 2023, ECI continues its journey by maintaining the same AA- rating from Fitch, expanding export to 109 countries, growing the insured turnover to 18 billion dirhams, and continuing to grow the exposure to 8.8 billion dirhams, and the amount of debt handled at 350 million with 83% success rate, and the number of employees grew to 49. Our targets are set for 2031 to contribute 48 billion in terms of non-oil export and 96 billion in terms of insured turnover, in alignment with the UAE 2031 strategy. I will take a moment to explain to you our vision, our mission, our objectives, and how we try and contribute positively towards the economy. Our aim is really to strengthen the UAE's economy, addressing market gaps and capitalizing on the country's potential. We aim to be a catalyst of sustainable economic growth and diversified economy by supporting UAE businesses to increase non-oil trade. Our mission is to ensure that no viable UAE export or re-exports fail to the lack of credit insurance or for trade and project financing. We support growth of UAE businesses with focus on SMEs and increasing winning exporting opportunities for UAE-based businesses. We also assist in realizing the nation's foreign trade policy and industrialization ambitions by supporting those sectors. We support the creation of a competitive environment for innovative industries and sectors by 3 key objectives. One of them is enriching SMEs' knowledge and awareness. Once they are aware of such risk and protection solutions, they will be able to focus on growing their businesses beyond the land of the UAE. We also boost UAE's foreign trade in vital and priority sectors to continue to diversify the economy and enable those UAE businesses to access those opportunities globally. We also enhance trade financing activities, because with the trade credit insurance that these companies are able to receive from ECI, they are able to access the financing requirement for expanding and growing their businesses. We look at the opportunities of unlocking new business opportunities. We focus on innovating our approach towards business development, and we drive business transformation by adopting a digital and innovative culture within ECI. These are our results to date, and I am so proud to share that to date we have a gross exposure of 8.8 billion dirhams globally, with more than 100 active policies, more than 7,500 active credit limits. We continue to be AA- Fitch rated for the 5th consecutive year. We have exposure in 109 countries. We support 17 diverse sectors, and we have a large ecosystem of more than 50 partners to support our growth. And all of this is achieved by having access to more than 300 million records of database of companies, diverse information that enable us to provide the risk assessment solution and rating for our clients. We work with multiple stakeholders, including banks, brokers, reinsurers, and global ECAs. We have government stakeholders within our ecosystem, and with access to such a complex ecosystem, we're able to facilitate those transactions. The Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technologies all share the same vision of diversifying the economy, and we are leveraging on all the comprehensive economic agreements, CEPA, that the UAE is pursuing with different countries to facilitate trade opportunities for our exporters. The sectors that we focus on are, as I mentioned, non-oil sectors. We focus on consumer electronics, electronics and cables, logistics, F&B, metals, packaging, petrochemicals, financial services, building construction and materials, healthcare and pharmaceutical, heavy equipment, paper industries, e-services, FMCG, auto spare parts, renewable energy, and sports equipment. And as I mentioned, we are working with 109 countries all over the world. And as you can see, the distribution of these countries on the world map. We provide tailored solutions for diverse needs. We work with exporters and re-exporters because we are able to provide them with the protection that they need to make sure that they get paid within the agreed time on the short-term trade credit insurance, and also shield them against uncertainties, whether it's geopolitical or environmental and so forth. We work with financial institutions and banks to provide them with the certainty that the UAE businesses will be able to repay their commitment with regards to working capital or financing requirements, because we have done our due diligence on the buyers according to their countries and sectors, and we were able to secure those trade opportunities. Export credit agencies are international trade collaboration through ECI strategic partnership, and they bring in a lot of value to UAE-based businesses because at ECI, we have an exposure of multiple large trade opportunities that happen between governments and different countries. One of them I mentioned is the Uzbekistan wind farm, for example. When we have access to those opportunities to co-insure these transactions with other global ECAs, we always look for local content and in-country value for UAE-based businesses. And based on our portfolio analysis, we are able to match those opportunities with the exporters from the UAE, giving them an opportunity and access to those global markets. We work with investors, developers, and EPC contractors to protect their investments globally, because those investments are most of the time huge contracts, and based on the insurance solutions that we provide, the investors and these entities are more focused on their growth, and while we protect their interests in those countries. We provide a wide range of products. We have the short-term products that we provide for up to 2 years for exporters and re-exporters, and also for banks and financial institutions, mainly in a whole turnover insurance, a single risk insurance, invoice discounting insurance, and pre-shipment risk insurance. With banks and financial institutions, we provide supply chain finance insurance, non-payment insurance, factoring insurance, and green working capital insurance. For the medium and long transaction, medium to long-term transaction, which could go up to 15 years of tenor, we work with banks, financial institutions, and ECAs, and our work is mainly focused on buyer credit insurance and project finance insurance. When we look at the political risk insurance, we work with the investors and developers and EPC contractors on a political risk insurance to protect their investments outside the UAE. Why do companies want to work with us, or why do they seek to trade the credit insurance solution? Primarily to protect their businesses. We protect them against buyers' non-payment, we protect them against non-payment, and we protect their investments in foreign countries. We reduce their cost of trade finance, because once you have access to insurance for the capital, the working capital or the financing requirement, actually the cost of trade finance gets reduced, and we reduce the cost of project financing as well. We provide them ease of access to trade finance, ease of access to international markets, and ease of access to commercial banks funding. And this happens through our partnership with different ministries, government entities, and ECAs. We empower businesses to enhance their corporate cash flow resilience. We empower the halal trade, and we also build confidence among the exporters with regards to their payments on time. We also focus on accelerating growth, because the robust growth through public-private partnerships is always a win-win for all parties involved in international investment transactions. We provide insurance to UAE businesses to access competitive lenders, essential support in challenging times, and impeccable market intelligence. And if you remember the 300 million records that I have mentioned, it's different and diverse data points that we go through for all of our transactions to provide as much data analytics that will enable us and our customers make the right investment and trade decisions. This is the management team. I have a team of professionals who support me with the export financing, risk management, finance, IT, innovation, and we always keep an enterprise risk on top of everything we do, because risk is really our bread and butter. Our board of directors, as I mentioned, is chaired by His Excellency Abdullah bin Marri, who is the UAE Minister of Economy and the chairman of ECI Board of Directors, and the vice chairman is Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Ziyudi, the UAE Minister of Foreign Trade and Deputy Chairman. And with the support of this board, we are able to tap into the opportunities that are coming from CEPA agreements, from international relations of the UAE government, and also aligning our economic development objectives with that of the government. This is a testimonial from one of our clients who really values the partnership with ECI, as we have been aiding them in their business since their beginning. I'm sorry if the presentation is too technical, but I am more than happy to move into a more interactive kind of session. If any of you have any questions or would like to make a comment, I'm more than happy to answer.
Thanks, Your Excellency, for this rich and informative presentation. Now we will open the door for any questions, clarifications, or discussions. You can write it in the Q&A if you're interested in the topic. Yes, I think we have Hamid is trying to write something, but I think there's a problem with the keyboard. If you can rewrite the question, Hamid, again. Your Excellency, you mentioned that you have reached up to 109 countries. In which country or region you see the most promising growth or potential for the UAE exports?
So, Iman, with regards to the countries, obviously we are open for business with all countries, but we see huge opportunity for UAE-based businesses in Africa. And I'd like to take this opportunity to just speak about our sustainability program. As you know, 2023 is the year of sustainability, and we will be hosting the COP28 in a couple of months. And to build the DNA of sustainability in the UAE businesses, we also looked at our portfolio and how can we support green investments and the green financing opportunities overall. And we have launched 2 green products, which is the green working capital and the green insurance, to support companies that are interested to invest in sustainable sectors. On top of that, we are having a conversation with different ECAs opportunities that we can bring in a stronger ecosystem of businesses from all of our countries to serve those needs. And last month, we have announced the COP president designate announced the Africa Climate Investment Summit, where the UAE has pledged $4.5 billion of funding for investment in renewable energy in Africa. And ECI is committed to support $500 million worth of those projects. Now, all of these projects would look at sustainable, renewable energy, green financing initiatives in the continent of Africa. And by being part of ECI, we will be able to identify trade opportunities, export opportunities, and investment opportunities for our companies in this continent.
Thank you so much for your comprehensive answer, Your Excellency. I think there are a couple of questions. Okay, so what are the current market trends reflecting or affecting the demand for our exports globally?
This is my favorite question because definitely technology is affecting the way we do trade. Technology has accelerated our adoption of technology since the pandemic, and all sectors were affected by that. And trade finance need to move in that direction. Today, the trade finance activities really are complex and lengthy and has multiple stakeholders to facilitate it and make it happen. This Industry 4.0 is looking at automating the whole supply chain, whether using the technology, the smart contracts, the digital financing, and creates inclusion opportunities for businesses from all over the world to take part of the overall economic growth.
Thanks, Your Excellency. There is another question from Costa Rica, thanking you for the presentation and asking if you have experience in the postal sector. Postal sector, yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have exposure in the postal sector, but we do have exposure in the overall logistics sector as we work with the DP World, the UAE leading logistics company, and we secure their investments all over the world.
Great. And the other question is about the key success factors for businesses. Do you believe it's an insurance system?
I think it is one of the key success factors because as a business, whenever we start a business or we start an initiative, we always focus on structuring it in the right way and growing it. And with growth comes a lot of challenges whereby as business owners or ambitious and positive leaders, we sometimes undermine the risk associated with these. As organizations, once you are able to outsource this risk to an export credit company or an agency to take care of all of that risk related to any transaction, you actually focus on the business and you get rid of the challenge. And this company has a full risk underwriting capabilities that will facilitate and will also indicate whether the countries that you are going to or the sectors that you are participating in are profitable or not. So I believe it's an instrumental tool to protect businesses first, and second, grow those businesses.
Definitely. So, Your Excellency, there's another question about the trade barriers. How can we navigate the trade barriers, tariffs, and custom regulations to make our exports more competitive?
So, trade is very complex, and there are plenty of trade opportunities through exports. And the barriers and the challenges are usually the requirements, the cross-border payments, the supply chain, the logistics. And working with national export credit agencies, usually they have access to either free trade agreements. In our case, I mentioned the CEPA agreements, and yesterday our Minister of Foreign Trade signed a CEPA agreement with Georgia. In addition to Georgia, we have one with India, with Turkey, with Indonesia, and with Cambodia. And those comprehensive economic partnership agreements usually have preferential conditions for companies to access those countries. And in the case of UAE, we analyze all of these countries, and we look at the benefits and the conditions, and based on that, we match our exporters and UAE-based businesses to the right opportunities. Because if they are manufacturing and trading within the UAE, we are able to link them with a much bigger market and a much bigger population through the CEPA agreements.
Thanks, Your Excellency. Is there any expansion plans to support the investments in other countries?
Absolutely. We continue to be on road shows to different countries looking for opportunities for UAE-based businesses and exporters. We work very closely with the Ministry of Foreign Trade and the international offices of the UAE to reach out to all of the importers from those countries and try to match them with exporters from the UAE. On top of that, we have a couple of technology solutions that we have deployed here within ECI to look at the top exports from the UAE and match them with top imports from those countries so that we can make the matchmaking between the exporters and importers, and that will translate for us as a trade credit insurance portfolio growth.
There is an interesting question from Zimbabwe. I think most of Zimbabwe included most of the natural resources are exported in their raw form. Is there any possibility for UAE companies partnering Zimbabwe companies in the processing and value addition such that UAE can export machinery while Zimbabwe can in turn export our value added products?
Absolutely. This is part of the trade agreements, and also it's part of the solutions that we provide. For us here in the UAE to manufacture or to export, we need to import raw materials or certain components from other countries. We bring them to the UAE, we work on them, and we manufacture and we export them. And usually they will go as either a finished product or a basic product to something else. One example I like to mention here is that there's a UAE-based company that builds a certain part of the Tesla car, and this is shipped from the UAE and exported to Tesla manufacturing facilities all over the world. And we are very proud that we are able to reach to that level. So I believe with Zimbabwe, that definitely opportunity is there because the focus is there on the continent.
Thanks, Your Excellency. So talking about risks and mitigating the risks, is there a contingency plan that are in place to mitigate potential risks and disruptions in the global supply chain? I remember you mentioned something about the COVID during the presentation. What are other possible risks that you may face in the future?
So there are lots of risks like the wars, for example, that are happening between Russia and Ukraine, and the instability in Palestine and Israel. And all of these affect the export and trade and global supply chain. Now, for companies to protect themselves, they need the trade credit insurance services. But for providers of insurance like ECI, we really need to invest in tools and data points that will give us predictive analytics on where to go, what are the best opportunities and what are the worst opportunities. And we are very, very selective in our approach as well, because at the end of the day, yes, we protect businesses and our ambition is to make them grow. So we will not support the transactions that probably be going to risky markets. But regardless of the pandemic, the digital ecosystem has not matured for trade finance and for exporters. So I think the opportunity, and this is a topic that I am championing personally, to really challenge the regulation, the technology, and the solutions that are available today, because it is still based on big companies accessing those financing opportunities to contribute to global trade. But the opportunity is really for the small and micro businesses to be able to access this financing digitally the insurance services digitally, the matchmaking, and maybe outsource or partner with a third party for the supply, to the rest of the supply chain to deliver the goods and services.
Thanks a lot, Your Excellency. The last question is talking, okay, it's not the last one. If you may allow me, we will have the last two questions. In your opinion, what kind of innovations or improvements that can be made to enhance the competitiveness of a country's exports?
So there definitely needs to be a local awareness campaign about the services that are provided. I don't think a lot of businesses know about this opportunity. The second thing is the awareness about the matchmaking opportunity between exporters and importers, and also the biggest opportunity that is usually missed out. In the UAE, we have a comprehensive ecosystem that supports manufacturing and exports. There is Operation 300 billion, which is 300 billion of the economy needs to come from manufacturing. That's a diversification element, and the facilities to access those funds and preferential conditions are available for UAE companies. I travel all the time because we work with plenty of ECAs and on trade missions, and I have realized that companies from other countries realize that there is an opportunity for them to set up in the UAE for the reason of leveraging the CEPA agreements and the government relations to set their manufacturing facilities here in the UAE and export from the UAE to Africa, to India, to North America, rather than being in a country that does not have the infrastructure and logistical and or government relations to support that trade.
Thanks, Your Excellency. The last question, is there any plan for considering the investing in the Kurdistan's region, export capacity in certain sectors, especially agriculture products, for later processing and exporting by the UAE?
So we are, as I mentioned, open to protecting investments all over the world, and Kurdistan region is no exception. But I would like to highlight that food security and agriculture is one of our priority sectors, and this has a huge opportunity for UAE businesses to engage with their counterparts in Kurdistan. So we will be more than happy to support businesses interested in this region to facilitate their access.
By this question, we reached to the end of this interesting presentation. Thanks for your valuable time, Your Excellency, an amazing presentation, and wishing you more and more of success and growth and achievements as well. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Iman, for hosting me, and thank you all for joining me in this session. It's my pleasure, and I hope that I was able to add even a little bit to your knowledge.
Yeah, did a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.